All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. The main event is finally here, and we have the election tomorrow. By the end of the day tomorrow, you will not find out anything because the odds of a contested election are still pretty high. So we got a lot to talk about. I want to recap what we discussed yesterday with the Harrison-Trump trade. I want you guys ready moving forward, but on top of that, I want to talk about how you can trade a contested election. Unfortunately, this is a theme that keeps coming up. We have talked about it a few times, but what I want you guys to see is the last two times we had a reaction. And here's the best part, because although you think contested election, you would think a day in early January would have been there. No, it was following right after. That's the whole idea. I'm going to go over some of the timelines tomorrow and what you can expect. But what you're looking at this screen right now, we are using the Thinkorswim on demand feature, and this is going back to the election day. So this is the full trading day. There's a little bit after hours right here, but you can see how the market performed on 2020. When we found out that Joe Biden won, the stock market gapped up, ripped for the first hour, and then held a new high. The bonds absolutely died and then came back to green. Oil dropped off of the open and then climbed back up. And then gold, it had a little bit of a run up, and then towards the end of the day or after hours, gold started tanking, but generally kept the same prices. So in 2020, although people want to say it's contested and all of that, you saw the drama play out in January, but shortly thereafter, this is how the market played out. So that's the first part of it. Unfortunately, the real example that we want to look at when it comes to contested elections is the year 2000, because this is seemingly going to be like what we will get if we do in fact get a contested election over the next couple of days. And what I mean by that is pretty much in the next few days, you will have the election, but unless it is a blowout on either side, you will probably not get the results, and you will have to wait for full counting. Maybe you'll hear about recounts. That's what happened in 2000. It was over 500 votes in Florida, believe it or not, and they had to wait for the recount. And even before it was done, Al Gore seceded. But I wish I could show you a better chart, but unfortunately, the market dropped coming into it, and then November, it was only like 5 days into the month. That's when you had the contested thing, and the market dropped about 5 to 7%. But as you notice here, by December, you were barely up. Then you had a run up into January, and then you had a whole nother issue to deal with in the early 2000s. So this is why the contested nature, it's going to be important. People are talking about it, but now tomorrow we will find out whether or not we get those results. And then we're going to talk about the timing, because I do have a little bit of a breakdown of what you can expect. So I have all of that. I have the keys. We're going to talk about all sorts of plays. You even saw how they reacted to the Trump trade today. But what I need from you, Chad, a thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open. Drop your thumbs up on the video. And wait, did I mess it up? YouTube? Okay, I messed it up. I don't care. It's election day. Run it, baby.
Working to the couch, it's the 2020 election. Live in the hills, but still get a spread. Started with a live, but still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
All right, off the bat, before we talk about what you need to be looking for as far as the contested election is concerned, I want to talk about the base trade that we brought up yesterday. If you did not watch yesterday's watch list and are not getting prepared for it at this point, I honestly believe that you hate money. I hope your soul is saved, but watch yesterday's watch list. I go into a lot of depth about all of the potential trades that you can be watching, regardless if it is a Harris or Trump win. So this is a quick summary, but I really encourage you to watch yesterday's video. What we will be looking at: if Harris wins, small sell-off, buy the dip. If it is Trump, you sell the rip after the little risk on. Big tech in China, those are going to be the opportunities for Harris moving forward. Strong dollar and strong Europe, believe it or not, those would be the benefits for Trump. And then as far as gold and the bonds are concerned, that will really be dependent upon the Treasury Secretary appointment a few months into the presidency. So I give a great breakdown of all of this if you want to understand the intricacies, but I brought it up up, man. It's not just America at this point. Depending on who we select, every other country in the world is going to have a couple of months to position, and that is going to give us our trade. That is going to show you where the real opportunity is. So watch out for that. And like I told you guys the other day, just keep in mind, or other day, I told you at the beginning of this video, just look at how things moved. And again, gold and bonds, you could kind of see they were practically break even after moving back and forth in 2020, but you did get bigger moves in oil and equities. So remember the Treasury Secretary appointment, and then keep your eyes out for everything else. But tomorrow, maybe equities will be the big winner, or more so, maybe on Wednesday, that's what we'll be looking for. So with that being said, let's go to see the day after. So remember, the 3rd, this is the election day. Let's see how it played out on Wednesday. Let it populate, and wow, you ended up going higher. Then the bonds, after that volatility, they went a little higher, practically unchanged. And then gold, it pretty much danced around. And then oil, that continued its rip. So these are going to be the next 2 days that you're going to be dealing with. Tomorrow's election day. Then whether we get in a winner or not, that announcement, we are going to move from there. So keep this in mind. Definitely go watch yesterday's watch list and be prepared. But now, coming into the second key, the contested election is fully in play. So like I told you guys in the beginning here, what that would mean is that you do not have a decisive winner and the election is not called by Wednesday or Thursday. In that case, you are going to probably initiate a process where we can wait up to a week. Like I told you, it is hard to get data on 2000, but that is your best example. While we were waiting for the Florida recount, the stock market ended up selling off 5 to 7%. What happened after 2000, you could see how the markets moved, and that's something you got to remember here. We do have Jerome Powell tomorrow, but when it's all said and done, a contested election, that is going to throw into doubt everything. You even saw today, people woke up and they're like, you know what, let's take profit on the Trump trade. Maybe it went too far. They were saying that they overestimated it. I was telling you that for a while, and they were only looking at bonds to make that determination. Sure enough, people brought up the peso. Go look at that chart I was showing you with the sweep odds. The peso is one of the biggest losers. Now factor that into the regionals and everything else. A lot of these other Trump trades and Harris trades, they are developing, but you even saw today how people were ready to take profits. What do you think is going to happen if we do not have an answer to the winner within a week or two? That's going to give people a lot of time to run their imagination and go back and forth with everything we've seen. Again, the markets have been very stable, but not getting an answer in a contested election, like I told you guys in the past, it's only happened like 5 or 6 times since like the 1800s. Then recently in the 2000s till now, the market really hasn't liked it, but it has been over 24 years since we have experienced a real contested election. Like I'm telling you, people bring up 2020, but that was contested on January 6th. That's not like 2000 when it was the Florida recount. That was, you got through election night and then you had to wait till the next day, 2 days in a week just to find out who was winning, and it was all based upon 1 or 2 states. So that's the same timeline that I'm expecting here, but like we saw in the 2000s, right when you had an answer, right when there was a concession, the market bounced back, barely moved throughout December, went up there into the final month in January, and then you started dealing with everything else that happened in 01. So that's the game plan that we have here. I'm going to go over one major play that I like when we go into the plays, but the whole point is, if you do not get an answer by Wednesday or Thursday, like I'm saying here, I would start taking short plays or betting against the market and certain asset classes by Wednesday. If we don't have that answer there, then things are going to start getting a little shaky. And then, like I said, we'll cover some of the plays that I'm looking at. But if we are going to get a contested election, I fully think it is going to play out like 2000. So if it is a blowout, though, we don't have to worry about this. So that being said, I know you've heard a lot about contested election, this and that, but fact of the matter is, if Trump or Harris can blow the other person out of the water and we don't need to really wait for more votes, then you'll know this by literally midnight or Wednesday. And now here is a timeline. This is a general rough timeline that I think you could follow. By 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, after the market close, you will be getting results from Georgia and North Carolina. If these races are close, they are not going to call it. This is what we're saying, where if it's not a blowout, you're going to be waiting on these swing states. Then you will be getting partial results from from Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And then by that time, you will be finishing results from Virginia, Florida, Ohio, and Colorado. Now, coming in to 10 p.m. to midnight tomorrow, you will be getting more of the results almost finalized for Georgia, North Carolina, and Michigan. But again, if there is no clear winner by then and it's not some crazy blowout, they will not call those races and they will keep counting. And then you will get partial results out of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and then Arizona. Remember, Arizona's on the West Coast, and then Vegas is going to start rolling in between 10 p.m. and midnight. And then from midnight to the market open, or right before on Wednesday, you're going to be getting more results from Wisconsin and Michigan, then partial results from Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Nevada. And notice, Pennsylvania is a big one. They're going to be getting partial results from 7 p.m. tomorrow till all the way into 6 a.m. So that's an interesting one right there. And then Wednesday, the whole day, we should be hearing, or again, as we go, the market will be open. We will get additional results from Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And then if the results are close, they are not going to call the race. So think about this. We are getting after 6 a.m. That means tomorrow, Wednesday, the day after the election, after all of this is playing out, the market will be open if you are getting final results from Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, and Wisconsin. That'll probably be happening while everybody is trading. So that's an interesting one. And then finally, this is where things get a little tricky. If by Thursday, the 7th, if the results keep coming in, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, the race is still close and we don't know what's going on there, then you begin a longer open voting period. Or again, based in Pennsylvania and Nevada, they have it where votes can come in through November 9th all the way to November 12th. And then the late counting in Pennsylvania, they're expecting thousands of provisional ballots that'll be counted starting on the 8th. And then in North Carolina, there are challenge ballots that will not be counted until November 15th. So if it's not called by then, this is your exact timeline that pushes you out pretty much until next Friday. So ideally, best case scenario, and this is something we kind of talked about yesterday, there's a couple. Best case scenario, you know your answer by literally Tuesday night or even Wednesday morning. That would be the most ideal outcome. And then on the other side, don't forget what Wall Street wants. Whether it's Trump or Harris, Wall Street wants a split Congress. That'll make sure nobody goes too crazy. So if you get Republican president and then Democratic Congress, Wall Street is going to like that, and vice versa. Democratic president, Republican Congress, Wall Street is going to like that as well. But like I'm saying, these are our best case scenarios, but by Tuesday, if we don't have those answers, or Wednesday morning, then we run the risk of a longer, more protracted counting and contesting period, and then we'll see what the market does and where we go from there. But that is just a breakdown. I got one more key because I don't want to leave it out, man. It's a pretty weird week. Whether or not we got to wait for contesting, counting, we still got earnings. But don't forget, even if you start reacting to a contested election, you are also going to be having Powell on Thursday. So look out if there's going to be any changes in the FOMC statement, as well as the language in the press conference. Or did I say Monday? I meant to put Wednesday. We're going to talk about that Wednesday. I'll give you that breakdown, but we have a lot of spinning plates. So as we're reacting and seeing if it's contested, going on these election plays, just don't forget, in the middle of all of it, it is a good thing that the rate cut's almost guaranteed, but we are going to have to deal with Powell, and then that'll be the Powell that sets you up into the final Powell of the year. So get ready for all of that. I hope you're locked in. Get out there and vote, baby. But now, let us get into the plays. So, right off the bat, I got a couple of different plays, and I'm going to start with the first one, man. China. I love this. I've already been liking it. I mean, we're up like 30 all the way to 50% on BABA, depending on how the stimulus goes. But I've had Baidu. I've been crushed on. Those came back, then came down, then came back. I got a bunch of free plays. So I've already been liking China. I've been biased on this. So I'm just running with the idea, and I like how it ties into Harris. So I already liked it, but now after people even took profit on the Trump trade and Harris odds are up and people are tying this link between big tech and China, I think it is going to be good. The only way this trade really does bad for a little bit, it will suffer under Trump because his rhetoric towards China, but he'll probably be more aggressive, and I think he is going to get in the way of their stimulus, where Harris is kind of seen as, yeah, she might be a little tough on them, but I think she would allow their stimulus to take ground, where, again, Mr. Tariff is going to be a little bit more aggressive. So the way people are looking at it, you got to realize there's still more downside on China names. Why does Harris win even cause that? Because we were talking about Harris creating a buy the dip moment. People will get worried about the regulation and taxes. Again, she is kind of new and a little bit radical. When I hate to break it to you, I'm not trying to say this to influence your politics, but I'm saying that to don't get so mad about it. It's an opportunity. If Harris causes this reaction, we get a little bit of a sell-off. The buy-the-dip opportunity will be tech in China. And think about it. China's already doing bad. The reason why I've liked China is 30 cents on the dollar compared to its American peers right now. So under Harris and kind of if we get that little mini sell-off, I think it could sell off further. People will get a little worried, but China's already near the floor. They're already doing all of their stimulus there. And then if they don't have to worry about Donald Trump, I think that will really be that China bottoming out moment. So we'll see. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Anything could happen, but I like this idea and I made a play on it. And if anything, if we can't get a good deal on any of the big tech caused by any sort of dip, I would be looking for these China plays. So that's play number one. Definitely watch out for it. Again, we heard a little bit from the NPC meeting today, but from now till the end of the week, you will hear more. But that's play number one. Then play number two, Airbnb, baby. They got earnings this week, and I want to play it because there's a lot of travel hype back and forth, but I'm only going to play it if the volatility gives us a free shot. Pretty much if the election and Powell and all of this stuff just makes those plays really cheap and kills some of the volatility right before, I'm down to get a cheap play. If not, and it is pricing in a lot and still expensive, I'll just ride the shares out and then we'll go from there. But keeping my eye out for it. There's been a lot of back and forth in travel trends, both good and bad, so we'll see where they end up. But that's play number two. And then finally, this is your contested election play, the cheap SPY debit spreads. We ran one about a month ago. They ended up not working, but I definitely like the idea. So I lost on that SPY debit spread, but that was me trying to find a cheap exposure play. It was about a year and a half ago. I found broken butterflies. Literally, those plays hit. It was a $0 investment, and it paid out $5,000 to $20,000. Some of you adapted the play, and you did very well on it. And that was playing those October lows. That worked out great. I've tried to replicate that play in the years, and the option market makers, they've kind of changed the options where they're not offering dollar for dollar, and it goes $5 at a time at some of the other ones. It really changed that play. The only play I have found for cheap volatility, it was what I did last month. I grabbed those plays for like 1 or 2 cents. I like that idea. It is a SPY debit spread, and the idea, go for cheap volatility and sell the volatility. What I mean by that is not the VIX, don't sell premium, but technically you kind of are by using a debit spread. But the whole idea is if we get some sort of contested election, a lot of uncertainty. Again, the VIX has not been this high and stayed this high above the 200-day since 2019. Again, the repos, there's a lot of things going on. If volatility is cheaper and you could get one of these cheap plays and then things get crazy, I think the premiums are just going to rise up. And the idea is just make sure you sell out before we get a resolution with the election, because things will probably snap back to normal. And then you start planning plays around Powell, hard landing, soft landing, no landing, or earnings, or whatever you want after that. But that's what I'm going to be looking for. Like I'm saying, around Wednesday, I'm going to be shopping. If things play out, not a blowout, these will definitely be what I will be adding. So that is play number 3. And then finally, as far as everything else today, I only made that play on Baidu. I got more time because remember, I have January, March contracts from the first China rally just a couple months ago. I made those free, and they are still in the green, believe it or not. So I kind of feel bad because that means these plays had a little bit of premium. So I should have grabbed more than one so I could have make it free. But ideally, if this play hits, I'll probably sell the free one and then just ride this one out, even though the free ones are closer to the money. But I grabbed a June Baidu 185, one of them for 118, and this is related to those China plays I was talking about. I will be keeping an eye on Baba as well, but generally, if we do see this work in the way that I'm telling you, and you really see signs of it again, I like the discount on China, especially if we are about to encounter any sort of shift politically and then with the broader macro environment. So watch out for that. That's play number one. Then play number two, Illumina. That's what I did today. I went both ways on earnings. Maybe we should have done Palantir, but I think they ended up coming back down. Again, options are pricing in a lot. Illumina, they've been going through a recovery story. It did drop, but I don't think these are going to hit, so I'm probably going to lose $100 on that one. But that is all that I did. I am still holding bonds and oil coming into the election. I think it's a good idea. I'm still waiting for my 4-5. Hopefully you guys see. Yeah, the election's part of it, but I'm more so waiting till the value tells me what to do on the long-term bonds. And then, like I told you, Treasury Secretary, that's probably going to determine gold and bonds. And when you do look at it, it's not as if, again, gold and bonds compared to equities and oil and other things, they did not really move as much the day of election and then the day after. So obviously it depends what happens, but we'll see where it takes us. I wish you all the best, but now that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to remember, if you don't know what to say and you're confused about what to say in a moment, focus on when to say something. Focus on the timing, baby. That'll unlock the wisdom, maybe even a lot of favor, baby. So stay in the game. Drink that water. Stay hydrated, healthy. I'll see you in the morning, chat. I love you all, and hard. Go vote.